The Stillwater Planning Commission meeting of August 1st is now called to order. The first item of order on our agenda is the introduction of our newly appointed Planning Commissioner, Andrew J. Van Leuven, and he was unable to join us this evening, so we will meet him at the next Planning Commission meeting, which is August the 15th. The next item on the agenda is election of a vice chair.
I would like to nominate Mark Prather for vice chair.
I'd second.
I should have said.
Is there any other nomination on the floor? Seeing none.
We shall now vote.
Would you reach up and push no?
This one abstain. Yep. All right. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thanks. You just did that, so I didn't do it first.
Now,
Quick.
now you see how this works.
I did, yeah. I'm still recovering from walking in from the car.
You're welcome.
Spread the joy.
Okay. The next item is public hearing, and it will be the process this evening to call for the items on the agenda. The commission will hear briefly from staff first, then the applicant and/or their representative. Then we will open the public hearing and hear from those in favor or in opposition of the request. When you come to the podium, please clearly state your name and address for the record, and then before closing the public hearing, both staff, the applicant, and/or their representative will be provided an opportunity to respond and provide additional information and answer questions. After all interested parties have spoken, the public hearing will be closed, and then we will hear closing remarks and alternatives from staff. With that, we have one item on the public hearing agenda, and that is the short-term rental. And we'll turn it over to staff.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Diana Hood. I'm the Associate Planner, and as stated, this is a request for a license to operate a short-term rental at the address 1502 North Wildwood Drive. Here's an area map of the subject property. This is in a residential neighborhood, zoned small lot, single-family residential. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions from the commissioners? I don't see any. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to offer the opportunity for the applicant to come forward.
I'm manager, the owner is on vacation.
Okay. If you'd like to come forward.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. He didn't think I even needed to be here, but I said, I think I'm gonna go, because.
Yeah, if you would just state your name and address for the record into the microphone so we
Okay,
can get
my
it,
name-
and then you can state your role.
Okay. My name is Deborah Dilly. I work for Lane Homes, and 1502 Wildwood is a property that we manage, that she owns.
Okay. I think probably at this time, I would just offer the opportunity if any of the commissioners would like to ask any questions.
Does the applicant have any other short-term rentals here in town or elsewhere?
No, not short-term. We have a lot of
Long-term rentals?
long-term rentals, yes.
Okay. So no experience managing them before?
No, she has not, no.
Ma'am, if I could ask you to bring the microphone down a little closer there.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Does the owner own any other businesses?
Oh, yeah, she does. In Stillwater, she owns the shopping center, Old Gissem Shopping Center. They own, trying to think what else they own. They have CNR Manufacturing in Perkins that they own. They probably own stuff that I don't even know about. I just work for her, but her and her husband own a lot of property in Payne County. And one floor on a big building in Founders Tower down in Oklahoma City.
Okay, thank you.
So would you be managing this property on behalf of the owner?
She probably would be, we both probably would be doing it. We've been working on it for it's been empty for quite some time. It's a huge house, and she just, I actually am the one that I go to a lot of Airbnbs. I've been to a lot, and I just told her, I said, we have a little property that we have people come and stay at our house all the time, just friends for the OSU ball games and stuff like that. And they've asked, can we bring other people? I said, it's just probably maybe it's something. And long-term rentals, I'm sure you probably have heard, they're nightmares usually. They end up the houses really end up tore up, and it's a high-end house and high-end stuff. They've done everything high-end in the house, so she doesn't want to really rent it full-time. It probably would be for sale otherwise.
How many bedrooms in the residence?
Oh, my gosh. I believe there is 5, possibly 6. I believe it used to be some sort of museum, maybe. The guy kept adding on to it, and he had a lot of old memorabilia and stuff in it, is from my understanding.
So do you know roughly how many people you'll be renting it to?
It will sleep 12. And that's how many beds and stuff we have.
What would you say your target market clientele would be?
OSU, people that come in for the games, and mainly probably for that.
Would you say you're charging like a higher rate?
I don't think she's even actually figured that part out yet. Right now, it'll probably be in comparison. We'll keep it in comparison. We just would rather have people in it that's going to take care of it.
Do you know if they'll have a minimum number of nights per stay?
No, we're just, we want somebody in there at least a couple nights a month, for sure. But no, there won't be a minimum. They can come in on a Friday, leave Sunday, or come in on a Saturday and leave Sunday. There won't be a minimum that they have to stay.
Some people that come before us and ask for us to approve these applications put a minimum of more than one night because of parties that can happen on one-night stays.
Yeah. The only good thing I feel like about it, first thing I noticed is that we do have a law officer right next door, and I think that car might deter, we're hoping that might deter some of that kind of, those kind of parties.
Are you going to have a no party policy on your rental agreement?
See, I wish she would have been here. She's never done it before either, so, I mean, it's something that we definitely, I think definitely we can. I don't know how you go about that. I mean, we don't want somebody in there tearing stuff up either. I mean, she's
Right.
got a lot of antiques and stuff that she's furnished with this place with and stuff, so. But that would be the optimal thing to do.
How do you plan to market it? Is it Airbnb, VRBO, or just Facebook Marketplace?
Probably more Facebook Marketplace and word of mouth. That's how we do our rentals and stuff right now, really.
What's the parking like?
It has a circle drive that probably could take 3 cars, and then it has on the side of the house going, there's another full driveway that's you could probably park 7 or 8 cars.
So
Without
more,
any problems.
more than enough for
Yeah,
your 12
yes,
residents?
yes.
Okay.
They wouldn't have to park in the
The
street, no.
Okay.
And it's on like not a through road on where the driveways are. And again, the police officer lives on that far corner, so I would think they wouldn't go into his driveway.
Yeah, we received a letter that was an objection for us to consider, and I don't know if you'd be prepared. Or have you seen it?
The house?
No, the letter that we
No,
got.
no, I
Okay,
have
so
not.
I didn't think probably you had, and it was more. It wasn't really the typical questions that people ask about short-term rentals, but more actually about a prior experience with the ownership. So I don't know. I guess I don't really know how to ask any questions about that since you
Okay,
are
because
not
I don't know
them,
how long she's
so.
owned it now. I mean, I don't know when she purchased it. And I don't know anything about the last tenants. I've just worked for her the last maybe 3.5 years.
It was in regards to a separate business, not a rental.
Yeah, it was the current owners of the home, but in a separate business context.
Oh. I haven't heard. I know the neighbor told the one right behind us, he came over and spoke to us, and he knew there was an objection to it. I'm not sure how, but he knew. And, you know, he said it wasn't him, but I don't know. I mean, if they got the letter, I don't know if they saw it or not.
Don't really feel like I can ask anything from the letter. It just doesn't seem like it would be helpful.
Right. The letter just has some reservations. It's a little difficult to get into the specific of the objection.
Yeah.
We can also wait and see if anyone opposed has anything to
Other
say about that.
objections.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I don't know what I've got myself into.
I think right now we're
I'm not a
really,
talker for one thing. You probably figured that out.
right, and I think we've had a lot of objections to the short-term rentals in general. Most of them have been about things that we did just ask you about in terms of wanting to keep the integrity of a neighborhood, keep it quiet, keep it a family neighborhood.
Right, right.
So I think that the no partying policy, making sure that you do have enough parking, and just making sure that you're renting to really good tenants goes a long way with the neighbors for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and again, I don't know how long they've been managing property and stuff like that. But I know I've had a really bad couple of years with people, the way the people have left. I mean, even our $2,000, $2,500 homes, you'd think people pay that much that they're going to take care of it, and they don't,
In the long-term
But we do go
rentals.
through OSCN for everything. We do Ben Verified before and we do the same thing for any potential person wanting to rent. And I do all the background checks on that myself.
So I do know, I think one of the things that has kind of offered a little bit of maybe comfort level on some past discussions that we've had regarding short-term rentals is if the rental transaction occurs over an established platform, so to speak, and so that the renter has kind of a rating level. And I think that provides some comfort
And it's
level.
something she may do. I don't do the advertising. I don't advertise our houses either. So I know she uses Zillow and stuff like that, but I don't do any of that, so I can't answer that.
Okay,
How
but you
for
you
sure.
are alluding to perhaps a background check on OSCN?
Oh, yes, we do I do all the background checks, and we also do the Ben Verified form. We pay for that, and we just put their name in it. It comes back with all the places they've ever lived, and their landlords, and
But
stuff
you'll be
like
doing
that.
that for the short-term rental
Oh,
as well.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
I almost think that's more important.
Agreed.
Any other questions?
He wants to ask something. I can tell.
I'm familiar with the neighborhood and the house and the parking and things.
Yeah.
And the policeman next door.
I think that's it for the questions we would have for you. Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak in favor of this item to come forward. Seeing none, I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition of this item to come forward. Would you like to speak? Yeah, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Okay. I'm Ralph Sarton, and I live in Chiquita Court. It's just around the corner. Sir, can you pick the microphone? Yes. And my question is, I noticed that last month that City of Dallas, they did away with this. Are you aware that the short-term rental deal is in the Miami Herald, that they voted against having a big city like that, and I guess they had a big argument, and so it's my understanding that Dallas did away with it. I've got two behind me. I haven't heard anything, but now that I have one down the street. So I'm concerned about property values and cars and traffic and whatever. I do know there's a policeman next door or whatever, but they may not know that when they rent it. And I do know it's a college town, and they're here to party if it's football time, right? And so music, and so I'm just concerned about it keeps growing. I guess what I said, I didn't show up with the other two behind me, but anyway, I just didn't know if you knew that they had done away with it in Dallas. I can show you the article if you need it, but residential. They did away with in family residential. You could still rent houses, but you couldn't do short term.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I would ask if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in opposition. Seeing none, so typically this is the point at which we ask if the applicant would like to come back and answer any questions. Commissioners, is there any other questions that have been risen that you would like to have the applicant's representative come back and address?
I don't have any.
Okay. Then we'll close the public hearing and ask staff to present findings and alternatives.
All right. So, the alternatives are, firstly, you can approve the application, you can defer for additional discussion, or you may deny the application. There are no findings for this particular request.
All right. Thank you. Commissioners, motion or discussion?
This one's maybe a little more challenging because we don't get an opportunity to really discuss the person or the letter that we got, and because the owner's not here to discuss the specifics of this, and I don't know how much we get out of it, but it seemed like it would be good to be able to do that. So I wondered if this would be one where we would defer and ask them to come somewhat talk about this, but also more come with a plan for how they were going to rent this.
So
and answer some of our
we
other
could
questions.
certainly have a motion to table this until we could get more information on this item, and we need to give a date certain to have it show back up on the agenda. Is that correct?
Correct. And just to clarify, I do not believe the complaint is referencing another Airbnb. It's a completely different type of business.
That's true. That's true.
I would agree. There's a lot of questions that have been raised, and ma'am, thank you so much for showing up and trying to address those. But it's obvious that you're peripherally involved and not necessarily the decision maker on the questions that we've asked. So,
Well, granted that the description here in this first paragraph, the objection letter, is a different type of business, but I think it might raise question about business practices and if those type of business practices might be applied to this short-term rental.
Exactly. Yeah.
I also think that it would be good to discuss more specifics on, are you going to be using a platform such as Airbnb, VRBO, or is it just going to be based off of Facebook Marketplace and pulling your own background checks? I think that's a very viable question to pose.
And what rules they'll have, because I think some of the people that have come before us have had some good rules, like we won't accept local rentals because we know what typically happens if somebody from Perkins rents in Stillwater. So some of those kind of rules would be nice to see. But I don't know what we can ask of them to come back with.
You can ask those questions.
Okay.
If there's parties allowed, is there a maximum number of people allowed in the house at one time? those type of rules you can ask.
Well, do I hear a motion to table this to a date certain?
I move that we table the consideration of short-term rental until the next meeting of August 15th.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 4-0. All right, next item on the agenda is the meeting summary for review and possible action, and it is the regular meeting summary from July the 18th. Are there any additions, corrections, or perhaps a motion?
I motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 4-0. The last item, well, I guess the next item on the agenda would be miscellaneous items from staff, planning commissioners, or the city attorney for discussion and possible action. The one item we do have listed is that the next planning commission meeting is August the 15th. And the last item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We shall now vote. Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.